Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So, welcome to another market open stream. Of course, yesterday we did have the big FOMC press conference, and the Fed made a decision. So, what is that decision? How's that going to shape markets today and moving forward? And what about Bitcoin's next move now that we've had that decision? Let's talk about all these things and more. All right, let's do it, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are unfortunately starting out today lower than yesterday. We had excitement yesterday. We had pretty good excitement. We saw Bitcoin go above 94,000 once again, the second time in like a few days. And then all of a sudden afterwards, we start going down. And it was really strange because yesterday the US market was actually green. Pretty darn green right afterwards. So what's happening? Well, let's take a look. First of all, today we are opening up slightly mixed. Dow still up, NASDAQ down. So risk off asset companies seems to be bought today. But what was said yesterday? Okay. It seems like every single FOMC meeting now, we have more and more disagreements. I believe the last one was a 10-2 decision. This one was a 9-3 decision, meaning one of the governors, the newest one, Stephen Moran, wanted a 50 basis point cut, while there were two others that wanted no cut at all. And then the remaining all voted for a 25 basis point cut. So we got what we wanted, but what is the tone for next year? Well, according to them, they only see one cut in 2026. That is something that, of course, can change. But that's something that I think most Wall Street guys heard and was disappointed, right? I think a lot more people expected more cuts in 2026. But hey, obviously with data, that's going to change. And let's not forget that Powell himself will be replaced in 2026. And most people are thinking whoever Trump appoints is going to be very pro-cutting. So I think that's why Wall Street probably took what was said yesterday with a grain of salt. Meaning that they, obviously it was still a little disappointing, but obviously things could change drastically in 2026 if Powell is replaced with someone else. And of course, if the economy continues to suffer, it's going to force them to cut anyways, right? So that was like the two takeaways. It does seem like there's a lot more disagreements going, like every single meeting, there's a lot more disagreements on what to do. And 2027 is going to be very, very interesting. Now, of course, not only Stephen Moran, but like someone like Trump said, no, we should have at least doubled that, right? Meaning a 50 basis point cut. But we'll see because we're still getting more data. Like today I saw this, home prices go negative for the first time in 2 years. This kind of data is not good. It shows the economy is slowing down. We're going to get more jobs data that will probably show that employers are hiring less and unemployment is going to go up. This kind of stuff is going to continue to come forward and will force the Fed to cut no matter what they say. Like, for example, the January percentage already gone up. We're about 25% now for another cut. But between now and then, we got a full month, a month and a half, where we got a whole lot of data that could definitely flip-flop these two and make the cut into a 75 percentage versus 25%. So a lot of time. But that's basically what the Fed said. It wasn't a great press conference. It wasn't horrible, but I think people are just looking forward to 2026. And the biggest thing is Powell will be replaced. And we know whoever is going to replace him, most likely Hassett, is going to be very pro-cutting. And a lot of people are looking forward to that. Quantitative easing already started. The Fed is already buying bonds, and there will be a lot more of that in 2026, along with the cuts. All right. Outside of that, I saw this. Disney making a $1 billion investment with OpenAI. Will allow characters on Sora AI video generators. So this is pretty big. So Disney is probably going to start using OpenAI to generate things for its movies and advertisements and stuff like that in the future. Yeah. Nothing to do with crypto, but I just thought that was interesting. All right. Moving on. ETF inflow. Yesterday was actually a good day. Again, right now, Wall Street doesn't really know what it wants. It's behaving just like retail investors right now. One day you sell, one day you buy, one day you panic sell, another day you FOMO in. Like yesterday. Yesterday started out really good. Wall Street took in 223 million. BlackRock flip-flopped 193 versus the day before 134 outflow, right? That great numbers. Great numbers yesterday. Ethereum also not bad. 57.6 million inflow, mostly from BlackRock. And Solana had no numbers. I don't know if it's just delayed or they didn't get it. But like I've been saying, sometimes Wall Street is just like retail. They don't know. They're panicking. They panic sell one day and then they panic buy the other day. They don't quite know what to make of things sometimes. They're very reactionary. You would think that most of them have a vision and they're long-term holders, but no, a lot of them are just traders. Just like they just look at the news, they digest the data, like how I'm doing or how you guys are doing, and they just make irrational decisions at times. But you take the good with the bad. Right? Because when FOMO hits, and it always does, that's when you see the money flow in, just like with retail investors. It's always like that. But yeah, that's what happened yesterday. What else? The Satoshi Nakamoto statue arrives at New York Stock Exchange. This is courtesy of 21 Capital, Jack Mahler's new company. And this is what it looks like. I don't know why this is considered Satoshi Nakamoto's statue. Doesn't really portray him. No one really knows what he looks like. People are just assuming that he's just hunched over programming a laptop. I don't even know. No one even knows if that's the case or if he's wearing a hoodie. I don't know, but it's there. It's there. These 21 Capital just debuted on the New York Stock. Is it New York Stock Exchange? And they are the third largest Bitcoin treasury company now, and they plan on becoming first and topping even Michael Saylor. But who knows? Let's see if they can accomplish it. Bank of America is now issuing credit backed by Bitcoin. Every single bank is still jumping aboard, offering services, offering trading, custody, credit. Now, this is what Saylor was saying. Every single bank have reached out to him, and the purpose is to discuss Bitcoin and see what they could do with it, right? And we're hearing more and more about that every single day. This is part of the growing fundamentals that really matters. To a lot of people, it may not matter, but this shows the maturity of Bitcoin and how the adoption continues to rise. And it's important. It's important. This is building the foundation, right? You have to build, you have to grow, you have to expand. Otherwise, the money is not going to keep on coming in. Coinbase says Eurozone countries will start buying Bitcoin. There's more and more countries that are looking to embrace Bitcoin in a big way, make a reserve, a Bitcoin reserve, and other things like bonds backed by Bitcoin. And obviously, regulators around the world are also becoming more crypto friendly each and every day. So again, part of the maturity process that Bitcoin is going through, and this is building a foundation that's stronger than ever. Never seen this kind of fundamentals ever in any period of time for Bitcoin other than right now. It's important. It's important. And despite what the fudders may want you to think, even after this correction, most of Bitcoin supply is still in profit. It may shock some people to hear that, even sitting at 90K. But most of the supply is still in profit, and that's because people have forgotten how bad it was last year or the year before that, right? Even though it may feel like it's crypto winter or a bear market, most of the supply is still in profit. How much? 67% versus the 46% that we saw during the bear market of 2022. Take a second and think about that. A lot of you guys are long-term holders, so you're not panicking. You have seen worse. You have been DCAing. But for those of you guys that are new, this is what happens. Okay, price of admission is volatility. If Bitcoin never went down, then everyone would be billionaires already. But how is wealth made? How are gains made? You buy low and you sell high. So you got to take these moments. You got to think about them carefully, right? Is this the time to be panic dumping, or is this the time to be loading up? Take a second to think about that. We are just one push away from a huge recovery, the next big move, right? We're one push away. There's so many signs, so many signals that show we are. There are so many of them. Despite what some may say. Okay. I believe Bitcoin is going to continue to push forward in 2026. And I'll show you some reasons. For example, this recent dip we had closed out another CME gap. We always have these CME gaps that we have to fill. Okay, it always seems like we're filling the downside, but there are upside gaps we have not filled yet. But I didn't even know this one existed. But this 90K gap, once again, filled. We also have data like this. Short-term holders capitulating. It happened back in March and April when Bitcoin fell down to the low 70s. People were also very bearish. Thought the cycle already ended. That was earlier this year. That wasn't last year. That was earlier this year. That was about, 6 months ago, 7 months ago. We had that phase where short-term holders did not believe, capitulated left, and then guess what? We continued forward and made a new high. It feels just like that. Just like that. And back then, we were worried about tariffs and all this economic stuff, how the economy is doing so bad. And guess what? We flipped above, right? Very, very similar. And we've been talking a lot about quantitative easing. The Fed said they will start purchasing bonds. The last time this happened, quantitative easing happened, well, that's when Bitcoin started going up, right? Why is there a correlation? Because quantitative easing means that liquidity is flowing. The Fed is spreading out the money. And lower rates mean that businesses can borrow more. Banks can also borrow more. Banks, remember, also borrow. You may not think it. You think banks just take the money from the users or clients and use that as a loan. No, they actually borrow from the Fed. That's what the Fed fund rate is. So if banks start borrowing, they're going to loan out more. Businesses will be able to grow. This is part of the easing. And the Fed itself is also injecting by buying bonds. So when liquidity starts flowing, that's when things start moving, right? So we're one push away. And there's a lot of charts that show that we are ready to break out. And once we break back above 100K and continue forward, we're going to forget about this like we always do. Every time we have a steep correction, we don't know when, but when it does happen, we break out to the upside and form a new high. People forget about it. Because when we move, we tend to move very, very quickly. Much quicker than the downward trend. So you just got to be patient and wait for that to happen. And true believers like Tom Lee and Michael Saylor, these two guys are like synonymous now with DCAing. Tom Lee's been around for a while, but his new company, BitMine, has been making headlines because they seem to have endless money. They just DCA'd another $112 million to their treasury with ETH, not Bitcoin. So he's betting big on the future. Again, wealth is made by buying low and selling high. So while these guys have capital and are able to raise capital, they're going to load up more right now while things are low. And when we recover and make a new high, they look like geniuses. And then last I saw Solana breakpoint is happening in the Middle East, Abu Dhabi. And there's a lot of exciting things. State Street, fourth largest asset manager. They plan on tokenizing on top of Solana with Sweep. Not that that's very exciting. Soulflare, which is a wallet for Solana. They have a new hardware wallet called Shield they're debuting. Jupiter, their Lend product is out of beta. And they came out with a new verification layer. A lot of stuff. And by the way, Clash got verified on Jupiter too, or Phantom. So that's good. Which is the biggest wallet on Solana. Maybe next year I can go to Breakpoint. And I can be a speaker for Clash. I was actually thinking about this year, but it's too late. And of course, Solana is also involved with RWA. The Sky Keel starts a $500 million investment to boost RWAs on Solana. So, obviously, a large number, which is good. All right, let's see. U.S. market, very green in the Dow, very red for NASDAQ. We have major corrections with AI. NVIDIA's down 4%. MicroStrategy down 4% too. And Robinhood down 6% for no freaking reason. And the Bitcoin is dragged down today as well. All right, let's do some Q&A. I see AU 10666. This is such a shit market. I'm out of here. I look at his history. He's been pretty bearish for a long time. Oh, you can't, I get it. You could complain. People can complain as long as they're being respectful. I get it. It kind of sucks. Like, I know that, right? No one likes to wake up to see their portfolio down, right? But if you understand what you believe in, and you hold what you believe in, then, that's the only thing you could do, right? Like, I believe in Bitcoin. I believe in Solana. I believe in a lot. ETH now, right? I continue to hold and continue DCA because I believe the market will come back based on history, based on the growing fundamentals that I cover every day, because I think this ultimately is what's the most important. Now, if all the fundamentals have shifted and they're all declining, then my thesis may change, but that is certainly not the case. The fundamentals continue to grow better every day. And day-to-day volatility sucks. Week-to-week volatility, even month-to-month volatility could suck. But I'm focused on years. I'm focused on long-term. And I think a lot of you guys are too, right? And especially those of you guys that have been through a couple of cycles. I met a lot of you guys in Vegas. A lot of people said, hey, I started watching you in 2018. I started watching you in like 2020. I started watching you in like 2022, right? There are a lot of you guys that have watched me for years. So we've gone through this. Much worse times. I think people forget about COVID period, which was, man, it seemed like so long ago. But it was 5 years ago. I still remember when Bitcoin flash crashed down to $3,400. And it stood below 10,000 for a month? 2 months? No, it was more, way more than that. And I was streaming then. I said, we will recover. No matter how bad it gets, it seems like the world was so fearful, but we got through it. We recovered. Same thing in 2021. We did a 50% drop. A 50% drop in the middle of that climb. A 50% drop, and people said it was over. And then we recovered. It's always the darkest before the light comes. Isn't that how the saying goes? Just like when you go through a tunnel. A long, 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 dark tunnel. And then eventually the light gets brighter. Have you considered FXPR flare? I don't know what that means. Are you talking about like a synthetic XRP on top of Flare network? I mean, if that's the case, it would be the same thing, right? So one saying silver is soaring. Is it really? Well, gold is almost back to its all-time high. And silver is actually moving forward. Silver is $62 an ounce. At Costco, they actually sell silver bars. Silver is outperforming gold at this point. I haven't looked at it for a while. I think this is what Wall Street does. I see like precious metals like gold and silver being stable coins for Wall Street. But this time around, for whatever reason, there has been a lot more money flowing into them. So they're not just seen as like stable coins anymore. They're actually moving. And, we saw gold top out last month or so. There was a lot of FOMO, and then it came back down. Silver too. But it seems like they're continuing to buy more. Abe Core says, why do people DCA? Why not just wait and buy 10 months from now? You sure it's going to be lower 10 months from now? How are you sure about that? What if 10 months from now we're sitting at 200K? That's the thing. With DCA, you don't have to guess. You price average. If it goes down, great, it lowers your average. If it goes up, well, at least you average from a lower price. Because people say that all the time. I've met people in my past life at an IT, I met a lot of people that said, you know what? I could have gotten Bitcoin at $150. But, I didn't believe in it. And this was when Bitcoin was like at 10,000. And I've met people that said, I saw it at 20,000. I saw it go down, but I never got back in. And this was after Bitcoin hit 60,000. There's always people that will wait because they think it's will go lower, and then it either doesn't or they forget about it, and then they end up losing all of it. And then they never buy in anymore. It happens every single time, every single cycle. The Fat Colonel, would you recommend holding out alts or selling now, buying Bitcoin, waiting for altcoin season to begin to buy again? It really depends on what alts you're holding. Because if you're holding the big caps, like ETH and Sol and XRP, BNB and stuff like that, right? I believe that when Bitcoin comes back up, they will come back really fast and recover nicely. But if you're holding a lot of the smaller mid caps that have not moved really at all this cycle, right? It's going to take a while for them to catch up, if ever, to their 2021 highs. So you have to make a decision if you should hold those or convert to something else. Hey, I thought you were out of here. I see you stuck around. These days, I don't even look at my portfolio. I know it's down. I don't look at it. What's the point? It's just going to make you more depressed. I just focus on what I can right now. For me personally, focus on building Clash picks and trying to make it as good as I can. Right, that's what I'm focused on. But for many of you guys, maybe you don't have a project to work on. You can focus on a lot of things. Focus on your job. Focus on extra income so you could DCA. Right? A side hustle. Or maybe just focus more on your kids or your family. That's always good. Or focus more on getting better at Clash Royale. Even. I've been doing that a lot too. But that's what you got to do. Instead of focusing on charts and your portfolio, focus on ways that you can improve. And it could be financially, so that it makes you more equipped to DCA. Joey Ray says, wait. What exchanges holds Clash Royale? That's the game, but Clash is the project. A lot. BDCC, MEXC, LBank. But I would recommend if you're going to look at and buy Clash, you do it on Phantom. Swap it directly within Phantom. Or go to Jupiter Exchange and do it there. No, I'm not going to be buying more Luna Classic or Luna. Clash on Kraken, Coinbase. Eventually, when we get to 200, 300, 500 million dollars, it will happen. Right now, you could see, listing in a really bad market does nothing. A case in point, you go look at a lot of the gaming projects that have simply died in terms of price action, at least. A lot of them are listed on Coinbase and Kraken. It's not helping them. You got to keep the community engaged. You got to show that you're actually building and you have something that people can continue to believe in, right? So that's the fallacy. A lot of people think just because exchange listings happen, that's the only thing that could be exciting for projects. I think they're too trained or focused on that. No. It's all about the community. If your community does not believe, they're going to sell no matter what. Having a Coinbase listing will just help them sell faster. So it's really about building. And I think the Clash community believes in what I'm doing. We had a lot of people, hundreds of people show up. Now, yeah, in Vegas, I spent a lot of money to just be with me and others. And there's a lot of people in Discord really hyper-focused on the project. For now, participating in our tournaments or spectating and winning prizes. We had a pro tournament yesterday. Really fun to watch. We'll have a normal tournament for our average Joes tomorrow. But afterwards, our prediction market platform, Clash Picks, is going to revolutionize things. It's really go change Clash. So really looking forward to that. Derek's asking, am I still bullish on Sui? I am. I think ever since 2021, 2022 rolled around, Sui's a new kid on the block. I think they're still very promising. I've been to Basecamp before. I really like the energy, enthusiasm. I like the team. I'm close to a marketing person there. And Raul Paul's into them now too. I think it could be the next Solana. At times earlier this year, last year, it seemed like they were, right? They've lost a bit of a step recently, but I think, again, it's all about community, and their community is very strong. JL Molly, I appreciate that. I appreciate it. Straight out, I'm still laughing at you because I'm banning you from the channel. How about that? You think you're a smart guy, huh? Coming in here, trying to rub in my face, thinking I'm going to feel bad. Now I'm laughing at you getting banned from the channel. When will the price suppression end? I don't know. Soon. All the signs show we will. Derek, you're welcome. I appreciate you being here. Robert, I just talked about Sui. It's all about community building, okay? Projects, doesn't matter what they have, and they may not have anything. It's all about community building, okay? That's why memes actually do well, even though they don't have anything. Because again, it's about that community. If you have a strong community, they will hold and they will recover. Okay. I think Sui is one of them. I think they have a great community. I've been to their base camp before. Really good community, solid developers, solid dApps, solid team. So I think they'll come back. You can't really judge a project when they're down. Well, you could. It depends on their next moves. Because some do become discouraged and then they leave. But some are continuing to just build like nothing's happening. Those are the ones that recover the fastest and make new highs when the market conditions turn around. Like, I mean, I hate to say it, XRP, I think proved a lot of people wrong, including myself. They were stuck at 30 cents, much for most of, I mean, since forever, basically, and most of 2024, and yeah, most of 2024, they were still stuck below 30 cents until they broke out. And even with their fall from their top, I mean, they're still $2 versus 30 cents before, right? And that's because the community never gave up. XRP Army is strong. Again, it's about community. Euro Max. George, I remember you mentioned you might be ending streaming at the end of 2025. When you continue streaming, yes, because Bitcoin is not at like 250,000. If we're at 250,000 right now, I would say I seriously consider that. I would continue to put out videos like the ones I've been doing at night. I'll probably do like quick recap update videos. So yeah, but right now I'm focused on Clash. So until that gets to $1 billion, I'm probably not going to quit. Sui's not going to be the next Cadena. They already surpassed them 100-fold. I knew Cadena was in trouble because ever since they rode the top, okay, and I thought they had really good, promising technology. And then I saw them just botch everything. So I knew that they were in trouble already. This is why I got off Cadena bandwagon years ago. They wasted everything. They couldn't do anything. And I heard developers, their development base left too. So much infighting, so much finger pointing. They stopped innovating. They stopped building. I mean, the top developers, the top dApps got tricked. They didn't get paid their funding. They left. Whenever you hear that, it's never good. There are a lot of things that people don't hear because they don't get public. These stories don't get published, but a lot of times you could tell when something's cooked when there's something internally, going on, right? No, I don't want to spread more FUD right now, but some of these projects, could be permanently damaged forever because of all the infighting and stuff. Oracle had a bad earnings and now dragging down AI with it, and tech. Do I see Robinhood or Coinbase adding staking for SHIB in the future? Probably. Staking is no longer considered security in America. So yeah. Coinbase had a lot of staking, and then same thing, some of the other projects, and then they had to remove it because the SEC started targeting. I think they went after Kraken first, and then they sued them, and Kraken folded and paid out. Ever since then, exchanges stopped offering it. But now the SEC says staking is not a security, does not make it illegal, And I think they're going to add it. They're going to add futures trading too. Everything that was basically not allowed on US exchanges will be allowed soon. And that is also part of the growing fundamentals, right? It's going to be a lot easier for just general users to get involved. Silver is still very cheap, undervalued. It's worth $200 and more. If silver goes to $200, man, that would be amazing. I may go to Costco and just go buy some silver bars. I forgot. I forgot how much they were selling it for. I think they were selling it for like $50 an ounce or something. So if they still sell it at that price, you could make instant money by buying it. But then, you have to turn around and sell it somewhere. And I don't know, if you're going to get fair value when you do that. I will say $63 for silver is kind of nutty. It's making a lot of people FOMO in right now. That also could be part of the suppression, because if you look at it, ever since it broke out in like June, right? We had this where like it was FOMOing the first time, it came back down, but like ever since June something, it's been FOMOing or skyrocketing. Same thing with gold too. Gold is around August. So people like silver more because it's smaller. So it's almost like buying Ethereum, right, to Bitcoin. Like kind of like what Tom Lee is doing. But again, is it sustainable? Are people going to flip out of it once Bitcoin starts moving? Quite possibly. We have seen that. We have seen when gold, there are charts that show that when gold tops out, money flows out, and guess where it goes into? Bitcoin. Bitcoin is like 1/15 or something, the market cap of gold. So even if a little bit of that money flows out and comes to Bitcoin, it makes a huge difference. Anyways, that's it for today. So, did the Fed set the tone for 2026? Yes, they did. And it wasn't a good tone. However, it's very early. We have more economic data that can certainly change the tone. We have a new Fed chair that can certainly change the tone, right? We still have a few weeks left of this year. Can we see recovery? Bitcoin is at a cusp, like at a turning point. One big push pushes us back. So, stay strong, my friends. Smash it a like, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys later today. I'll see a lot of you guys in Discord. If you want to chat, go into Discord. It's in the description of this video. All right? Have a good one, guys. Take care.